Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. About a month ago, I went over to the US for the announcement of AMD's brand new Radeon A3 architecture and two of their new graphics cards. Now, a bit of a spoiler alert here. I've already shown the card on the channel before because when we were in the US, I actually got to hold one and shoot B-roll and stuff with it. But today, we've got one of those cards here and we can physically take a look at the card. We can't do any performance testing or anything. We're taking a look at the brand new AMD Radeon RX 7900 XTX. It's finally here. Well, it's finally here for us to unbox anyway. So let's take a look at this. This has got a pretty cool box. I'm not gonna lie, I've already opened this up. So I know exactly what's about to happen, but look at this. It's got a little mechanism that when it gets to a certain point, the GPU stands up. It's not very sophisticated, and that's basically it, right? That's the new Radeon 7900 XTX. Now, the thing is with this card is, you've already seen me be hands-on with this in Las Vegas for the announcement of all the new Radeon A3 stuff. So, to be honest, I'm not surprised how this feels. I'm not surprised by the weight of it. I'm not surprised by the build quality because I held one of these a month ago in the US. So there is that. Now, it's kind of crazy that there's two dates. There's one for us physically showing you that we have these cards and that we're going to have an upcoming review. I think AMD's done a pretty good job with the design of these new Radeon cards. And look at that, ladies and gents. Just two 8-pin connectors. No 12-volt high power connectors that could potentially catch fire. I'm joking, guys. Just plug your cables in properly. That's basically it. There's a couple fingerprints on this, as you can see, because I've been playing on this card for a few days already. I put it back in the box to show you guys, but I can't talk about performance just yet. But for now, I can show you the card. So let's take a bit of a look at a size comparison between this card and some other popular cards that you might be familiar with to show you how big this card actually isn't. First up, the Radeon 6800 XT. The 6900 XT actually had the same size cooler. It was basically the exact same size card. This is a bit of a reference as to what the 6800 XT looked like. Now let's see what they look like side by side. All right, here's the 6800 XT. The reference card from AMD, and here's the 7900 XTX from AMD as well. And side by side, you can see there's probably like maybe a 2 centimeter size difference between the cards here, but actually not that different in size whatsoever. Not really a huge difference in size here. AMD didn't go the NVIDIA route and just made these cards unnecessarily over-engineered for the sake of being over-engineered. Hopefully the partners who make cards for these new Radeon cards don't go the NVIDIA route and make massive cards. Here's the 3060 Ti from NVIDIA. This is the founder's card. And this is the 7900 XTX from AMD. I'll just line these up just so you guys can get an idea of the size here. And this just goes to show how small the 3060 Ti is. It's absolutely tiny compared to the 7900 XTX, which was to be expected if I'm being honest. This is the NVIDIA RTX 3080 Ti Founders Edition. Typically the 3080 and the 3080 Ti Founders cards aren't actually that big. They're only a relatively small 2-slot card as well. All right. Here's the 3080 Ti, and here's the Radeon 7900 XTX. This is actually quite comparable in size. The only thing is the Radeon card is maybe a 2 and a bit slot card. So if I show you from this angle, this might make it make a bit more sense. All right. So you can see that the NVIDIA card's definitely skinnier, but in length, they're so close in size. Next one is the Intel Arc A770. This is a pretty small card as it is. Pretty small 2-slot card. I actually really like the design and the size of this card, but let's see how it compares to this new Radeon card. Here's the Intel Arc A770, and here's the Radeon 7900 XTX. So actually kind of comparable in size once again. Not too different in size. This is basically just giving you guys an idea of how small these cards really are. Here's one that is kind of hurting my arm to hold up and is comically large. This is the RTX 4090 Founders Edition from NVIDIA. This card is so big. This fan is really big too. Seeing photos and video of this thing doesn't do it justice. This thing is very, very large. Here is the RTX 4090 Founders Edition, and here is the 7900 XTX. Do not be fooled, guys. Do not be fooled. This is the cards both lined up. You can see that this is a physically shorter card than the NVIDIA card, but here's where it gets really funny. Look how big that thing is. It's ridiculous. It doesn't need to be that size, to be honest. The thing doesn't get hot. It's ridiculous. This isn't even the biggest card that we've got. This is the ASUS Tough Gaming RTX 4090. This card is much bigger than the Founders card, and if you can just see, my hand here is on the edge of the card, and it's the length of my entire forearm. Here is my joint, back here. Right? So this thing is absolutely huge. I can't even make this up. Here's the Tough Gaming RTX 4090, and here is the 7900 XTX. On video, it doesn't really do this justice. This thing is so big. It's funny. Like, I think that there actually shows a bit more perspective on how comically huge these partner 4090s and 4080s are. This is probably the biggest GPU that we actually have ever had, and this is the RTX 4080 AERO from Gigabyte. This thing is so big, I'm not even gonna bother picking this up, because if I show you the length again, here's my fingertips on the edge of the card, and my elbow joint is up here. Here's the Gigabyte RTX 4080 AERO, and here is the 7900 XTX. Thing is absolutely huge. And this isn't even the biggest 40 series card either. I'm pretty sure the 4090 Master is bigger than that still. But let's do this as a bit of comparison as well, so you guys can understand how ridiculous the size in GPUs is at the moment. Look at that, that's stupid. That is so big. This card is ridiculous. This is just about the right size. If we bring in the A770, you can see that there is a pretty reasonable size. The 3080 Ti Founders, also quite a reasonable size. Sorry, I'm just gonna squeeze these in a bit so you guys can see. If we go back to the 6800 XT reference card, we'll try and squeeze that in. You can see that as well, that is a more than reasonable size. Cards like this, it's too much. This card doesn't even get that hot. Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. Our first look at the brand new AMD Radeon RX 7900 XTX in its physical form with no performance, because we're not allowed to do that. And usually with these types of videos, how they have like an unboxing embargo, we won't usually make any content about it. But I thought this one was interesting enough because, as you've seen in the video now, this card is physically smaller than a lot of NVIDIA's cards that they've released for this generation. And it is good to do a side-by-side comparison with a couple cards from the last generation. Now, you probably would have also noticed that I didn't compare it to any of the partner cards from the last generation, because the truth is, I think that the reference cards and the Founders cards actually show a bit more consistency in measurement, so you can use that as a bit of a guide. And I thought that you guys might find it interesting to see those cards again on the channel, because some of them haven't appeared for a while. As far as when we can review this card, I'm actually not allowed to say that, but it's very, very soon. So make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on so you can see our review of this card when we're allowed to publish that. We've done all of our testing. We're completely done with this card now, so we know exactly how it performs. So get subscribed to see that when we're allowed to share that information. And if you're not subscribed, did I say it again? Yeah, just subscribe. If you like the music you heard here, I make all the music. It's available by clicking that join button right down there, down below. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peak, we seeking. Thank you guys again for 200,000 subscribers. I still can't believe it. It's absolutely insane that we're at 200,000 subscribers now. It was like the first 100,000 was there, and now there's the second one, and it was a bit underwhelming, but when I think about it, it's pretty insane that we have 200,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So thank you again, and thanks for watching.